What's happening, friends? Welcome to Unlocked. It's IGN's Xbox show, the #1 Xbox show in the world. We've got a lot to cover this week. Lots happening in the world of Xbox. We're going to talk about the new Halo game that was announced. Yes, a new Halo game, not Halo 6, but we'll tell you all about it anyway. Plus, Square Enix may have had one of their E3 announcements outed by a copyright. The top-selling games for April, we'll go over those. A few of us at the table have played both Kingdom Hearts 3 and Call of Duty Black Ops 4. We'll talk about those games and a lot more coming up on this week's show. I'm Ryan McCaffrey. To my right this week, Miranda Sanchez. It's always it's right or left.
Yeah,
Can vary.
changing every week.
Yes. And making what I believe is his Unlocked debut.
Second time.
Second time.
I think last time was also for Kingdom Hearts, if I remember correctly.
It's all good. Jonathan Dornbush, good to have you
Good to be here.
as well. And Bobby Amos jumping back in as
Ooh.
well. Yes.
And I'm talking about Call of Duty again. Great time.
You're the expert.
We just have so much to talk
There's
about.
no one better in this building to talk Call of Duty than you. So I
sounds
appreciate you
good.
being here.
Thank you.
We'll talk. We got some. I know you're a sports game guy like me as well. We got a little sports game fun to talk about, plus a little Halo as well. But I did want to start with Kingdom Hearts. Jonathan Dornbush.
Hey, how's it going?
Your face lit up.
I do
instantaneously.
like those games. You may
love
have
it.
heard.
So I am IGN's E3 judge. Last week was Judges Week, which is sort of a weird little sneak preview of E3, or go spend literally all day in presentation after presentation checking out a bunch of E3 stuff. Super helpful for award consideration and all that, but it also allows us, when the embargoes lift, to talk about some of these games as well. And Jonathan, the last event of Judges Week capped the week off with the first ever public hands-on of Kingdom Hearts 3. You wrote up a big piece, as well as Rory Powers from our UK team worked together. To say you've been waiting a long time for this is maybe the understatement of the show.
It's been a while. Yeah, it's been a little bit of time, which made it very surreal to actually play this game and know that it's real and not just vapor.
It's like, are you sure you weren't drugged and dreamt you played it?
Yeah,
because I still don't believe in this game.
I was telling people, like, I had this moment when I was sitting down to play it, just thinking, am I going to wake up from a dream right now? Like, is this going to be fake? I've been waiting 5 years since the announcement.
That's what actually I wanted to ask
Yeah.
you. Set the context for, because this is a series that has not been on Xbox
Sure, yeah.
until now.
Yeah, which is very interesting.
Yay, I'm so happy.
Kingdom Hearts 3 was announced when?
So Kingdom Hearts 3 was officially announced at E3 2013. I believe it was 2013.
So it's in the below class of
Yeah.
games. So we're still waiting for below as well.
Yeah.
That was
This
from
year,
E3.
this year.
Yes. It's
all happening.
Yes, it's the year, finally.
The year of dreams finally coming true. Yeah, so it's been 5 years since that release. They have occasionally shown a new trailer here or there or revealed a new world, but this is the first time they've actually shown gameplay fully and let people go hands-on with it and actually know how it feels compared to the rest of the series.
So because Kingdom Hearts makes no sense, if you have no context for it, it's a JRPG, action JRPG, where unique Square bespoke characters cross with a wide swath of Disney characters for some reason.
Yeah, so if you haven't played any of the Kingdom Hearts games before, we won't go into the full story because we'll be here for a very long time.
We need to
Broke
get
it down before in like a Snapchat video or something.
Yeah, we have a few videos on Soul.
Ryan laughing at it because it was just he was at the whiteboard doing it and he's like, and that's Kingdom Hearts, and it was just like all of this jibber jabber just written all over the place. Like, okay.
And that's the most words I've ever said without taking a breath, and it was very difficult but very fun. But essentially, the games are about Disney characters and Final Fantasy characters coming together with an original story focused on a young boy named Sora who gets a Keyblade, and he has to go around saving all these worlds. There's a lot more to it, and it goes very in depth. There are multiple sequels and offshoots and prequels that really, really deepen the mythology and sometimes make it very confusing. But Kingdom Hearts 3 is essentially supposed to be the culmination of all that's come before. They've really talked about this being the resolution. So it's something fans have been waiting for a long time.
So I played it as well.
Yes.
And so you and I actually haven't really sat down and talked about this because I was curious to we're like totally representing the full spectrum here. You are the Kingdom Hearts super fan. I've never played any of them.
Yes, yeah. And
So
I'm very curious for your take on it because I can imagine there will be a lot of people, at least in the Xbox audience, who maybe haven't owned PlayStation.
Yeah,
or
it's like
some
this is
Nintendo
not where you
things.
start. Like, do not jump into
with
Kingdom Hearts 3 because you're going to be completely lost and nothing's going to make sense. It's not going to impact you the right ways.
Yeah.
Which
Well,
is
I did.
a shame.
Yes, yeah.
and
And so how did you feel about it, Ryan?
so it was the demo was 2 slices. There was a boss battle in the Disney Hercules world.
yes.
And then sort of a quest adventure in the Toy Story world. I did the Hercules one first. I'll tell you, my overall impression was it was fine. Like it was hardly bad at all. But I'm not I'm not suddenly a Kingdom Hearts fan where I'm like, oh, wow, I need to play all of these.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. I really liked a lot of it, probably first and foremost, just the attention to detail with the art style and the visuals. Like the art direction of you really feel like you're in the worlds of these films.
Seeing the Toy Story world come to life and going in Andy's room and being able to explore that area and to be able to go to this giant toy store that sort of extrapolates the idea of Toy Story. I thought they brought that world to life so well.
Yeah. So I super like that. The characters all look great. There wasn't enough context in the slice to get to know the Square characters.
Yeah.
The characters that were new to me. But the combat, I was pleasantly surprised. I just didn't know that it's very much an action RPG. It's not just like
It's always
run through the world and then suddenly you're thrust into a turn-based battle. It's not that at all.
Yeah, it's always been that way too.
Yeah.
So that's kind of maybe one of the bigger appealing things. Like for me when I was younger, I really was interested in Kingdom Hearts, but never really took the dive because I thought there were too many. I didn't know where to start.
Yeah.
With Kingdom Hearts, at least, or sorry, with Final Fantasy, I didn't know where to start. But with Kingdom Hearts, it was easy because it was a little bit more appealing because of that action. And it was introducing so many worlds that were already familiar to me. And so the action definitely makes it more digestible, I think.
Yeah, and so so that was easy enough to pick up and play and have some fun with. And I like that you sort of build up special attacks, which are unleashed in the form of these attraction rides.
Yes,
which are it's like a train from the Main Street Electrical
summon?
Parade.
Yes. No, so
or-
it's a sort
or
of a
from-
separate.
I don't know if it's supposed to be like a lit up Big Thunder Mountain
Yeah,
Railroad
there's
train.
in the Hercules fight, it's a Big Thunder Mountain Railroad train.
Yeah.
There's one that is the Grizzly River Run is one of the rides.
Oh, that's so cool.
There are a few others. Yeah, the Grizzly River Run is really interesting because you get on a raft and you're hopping around and you're creating a water trail. And the attack's finisher is you ride that trail all the way back and attack any enemies that are still waiting in that path.
Ooh.
Yeah. Whereas the Big Thunder Mountain Railroad is you're riding the train. It's sort of on rails.
Because we've seen that in trailers before, and I was wondering how that actually applies to the combat and what it
Yes,
looks like. That's
some
really
of
neat.
them are in context to the fight. Like the Hercules one is very much it's for that fight, the Big Thunder Mountain. Whereas you could summon the Grizzly River Run, you could summon a pirate ship that swings back and forth that can attack enemies.
Yeah.
Those were more just you had those at your disposal depending on how you amped up your attacks within battle.
So yeah, I liked a lot of that. Basically the two I would say big criticisms I would have of playing it for the first time with no context, just jumping in. The pacing of the dialogue just was off to me in the sense, and what I mean by that is, so Woody and Buzz in particular have sound-alike voice actors in this game. They didn't get Tom Hanks and Tim Allen, which is totally understandable. Those guys would probably cost millions of dollars each.
Yeah.
Although at this point, what's a few more $1 million on top of the long development cycle? But
Probably cost a little. Yeah.
that's not really my place to judge in that regard. But the sound-alikes themselves sounded pretty good. But I guess just the nature of this being a very long role-playing game, the dialogue is sort of very like, okay, Woody, let's get out and do this thing. Great, Buzz. I think that's a pretty good. Whereas in the films, just by nature of it being a very tightly knit, 90-minute film, it's just like quick dialogue. So that was a little. I just wasn't used to seeing the characters sort of interact that that way,
Sure,
I guess.
yeah.
So that was, maybe I just get used to it after I've been playing it for 5 hours even.
Yeah.
I played for 45 minutes.
So was that in between you running between places, or was that like a cutscene?
Both. Yeah.
Okay.
All of the above. That's just sort of, it's got more of a video game pace,
Yes.
the dialogue, than it does the films. So that was a little weird to me. And I mean, I couldn't help but notice that it's not Tom Hanks and,
Of course,
and Tim Allen, which, I guess you just have to get over that. But, and then the other thing I thought, so in the Hercules demo, which was the separate demo, it was just this big rock monster boss fight. You literally run up the sides of cliffs to get to it. And I thought it was not a good boss fight. It's, you just hack and slash at its feet until you can trigger special attacks to try and finish it off. And I was just like, that was just not that super fun, I thought. So
Yeah.
I liked it. I could see, I don't know about you, like Bobby, but for me, I could see my daughter super wanting to just watch that game.
Right.
So I might end up playing it just to play sort of with her, even though I'd be doing the playing. She just wants to watch it
Yeah.
because of all the Disney stuff and all, just like it's this
There's a spectacle
crazy,
there.
yes, like
Oh,
this
yeah, absolutely.
crazy sort of family-friendly Disney story. Like I could see her really wanting me/us to play that game.
Yeah.
They play by themselves because I mean, it's not really my cup of tea. But I'm
Yeah.
figuring, my 6-year-old, he's getting more advanced and like wanting to play on the consoles and things. Can he just jump in and go run around and do stuff?
I think so. Yeah. See, my
Yeah.
daughter, she's also 6, but she just hasn't quite shown the interest in wanting to play herself yet. She likes to watch me play. Whether it's, in fact, just before I left for Judges Week, since I've last been on this show, I had my Xbox home screen up. I forget what, I think I might have been installing State of Decay 2 or something at the time. And, it's all just the game tiles of everything that's on my Xbox. And she saw the one for the Maw, which was Twisted Pixel's first game from Xbox Live Arcade. And it's the Maw, if you don't know, I mean, first of all, it's excellent. And it's this giant, adorable, blue, like round monster with a big tongue hanging out that eats stuff and gets bigger and bigger, and that's the sort of whole hook of the game. But she was like, "Oh, can we play that?" Sure, why not? Took 3 seconds to install because it's an old 360 Live Arcade game. And we were back in there, and she was having a good time watching that. So yeah, it's cool to hear that your son is actually wanting to go ahead and play. I'm not quite there yet, but yeah, I think he could totally. It's because it's an action RPG, not a complex battle system. He could totally hop in there and have a good time with it.
There's a lot of different like magic and special abilities and all these different attacks that you can trigger, but I think especially on like an easy mode, it's definitely, they have children in mind for playing this. Cool. Like obviously there are people who've grown up with the series and they are targeting them too, but there's no doubt like when you have a Disney property, you do want people of a younger age to also have it accessible for them, and I think this game definitely will be.
Jonathan, what worlds do we know are in the game so far?
So right now we know Olympus will be involved, as we saw in the demo.
Yep.
We know Toy Story, which is officially called Toy Box now. We know that there will be a Tangled world. We also know there is
She'll like that. That's going to go over well.
so we know that, and Rapunzel and Flynn Rider will be your party members in that world. There's also going to be a Big Hero 6 world, which they've only shown. They've only shown a single piece of concept art since they announced it in, I think, 2015. And since then, they haven't shown anything. So my guess is it's either one of the later game levels or one of the more complex levels that they're just holding off
Hopefully
until
they
have
didn't
it
scrap it.
ready. No, it's still in the marketing.
It's still there,
They're
okay.
saying Big Hero 6 and all these things. And then a couple of the original towns and worlds of Kingdom Hearts will still be in there too. There are likely still worlds we don't know, and they integrate Disney characters through other means like summons.
It's Monsters Inc. too.
Yeah, Wreck-It
Yes,
Ralph.
excuse me, Monsters Inc. 2, which is the most recently revealed one. So they're definitely leaning into a little more Pixar this time around because this is the first time there's one of the numbered Kingdom Hearts games since Disney acquired Pixar. It's actually been that long between 2 and 3.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but they are integrating characters like Wreck-It Ralph and Ariel from The Little Mermaid, and there have been Little Mermaid worlds before. So they're definitely trying to bring, I think, as much Disney as they can, but there is a heavy focus on newer Disney for sure.
Yeah. So I liked it. I didn't love it from that initial impression as the Kingdom Hearts newbie, which maybe I'm going to speak for a lot of Xbox players out there on this. So the Kingdom Hearts super fan, what does the Kingdom Hearts super fan think?
So I enjoyed it a lot. You can read my very long preview on the website. And as you said, Rory Powers did an excellent video preview that goes along with it. I really enjoyed it. I totally understand your criticisms. There very much is a slower pace with the dialogue. And I think, especially at a preview event where I know that like time is limited, I almost felt like okay, I'll watch this later. I want to
Yeah.
get to what I'm playing because the cutscenes this time around are very much about the story of the world and not the story of the larger game and the franchise. So we didn't really learn that much about how this extends the Kingdom Hearts story necessarily. That was one of my misgivings. For the Hercules fight, I felt it was weird that it only basically brought you from the feet to the head. I wish there were a few more stages of that fight because they have had Titan fights before. In
Yeah,
past
that
games.
sounds like it might be just a super early fight to get you used to like the new mechanics of the rides being an element. In
Exactly.
These fights.
I think the Hercules fight that world is one of, if not the first worlds in the game, based on the story that they've set up. And it also very much, I think the point of the demo was to show you the scale of this game. Because I think for me, one of the biggest takeaways that I loved about this demo was the scale of the worlds. For me, Kingdom Hearts 1 had a lot of verticality to it, but it was a lot of closed off rooms, whereas Kingdom Hearts 2 had a lot of like open spaces, but you just kind of ran through them attacking, and then you ran to the next room and attacked. And there wasn't a lot of exploring. This one feels like it marries both of those things really well together, especially in that Toy Story world. And I could only imagine as a kid jumping 5 stories up through this Toy Story world, seeing all the toy stands and being able to, you can hop in a giant mech toy and you can fly from story. You can go from story to story and it can fly into the like children's playroom section, or you can go to all the action figure section. They have like cool little Easter eggs in there, like the city of Final Fantasy toys are in the Toy Story world. And so it seems like they're fleshing out these worlds and making them worth exploring, and especially because they limited what we saw in the demo, because there's a lot of behind the scenes RPG mechanics of leveling up and accessories and all those things. That wasn't in the demo at all, but I assume they're going to be in the full game. So the world was limited in terms of what you would find, but there were hints that you definitely can find a lot within these worlds. So I was really appreciating, at least on the level design, because so many of the Kingdom Hearts offshoots have sort of been on smaller or handheld systems, so they've been limited in their scope. But this time around, there's a lot to explore, which is great.
So they haven't announced the release date yet, but Square Enix is holding a sort of a streamed E3 briefing, kind of Nintendo Direct style. I think it's highly likely we'll probably get a release date there, but have they said this year, or are we all just hoping it's this year?
Yeah.
They have said.
Yeah, they said 2018 at D23 last year, and at the event, we were at different sessions, but at the event I was at, Tetsuya Nomura, the director of the games, said, we're expecting to reveal the date next month, like barring any crazy mishaps.
Which would be E3.
E3, exactly. And there's the Square Enix event. There is the Kingdom Hearts Orchestra, which is also the Saturday before E3.
Cool.
It kicks off then, and that's where they revealed their big trailer last year. So my guess is if it's not the date, it will likely be a trailer. But that's such a fan event, I could see them actually using it even then. And there's, of course, also the big conferences.
Nice. All right. So that was
It's almost
probably
time.
one of the two biggest games from last week at that Judges Week. The other one was Call of Duty Black Ops 4, huge gameplay reveal event. Bobby, appreciate you coming down to LA with me. We were hanging out in Hawthorne in an airplane hangar right next to Elon Musk and SpaceX and Tesla. Right, they were literally next door.
Yeah, I saw your photos.
And so lot of Call of Duty community members there, yourself included, obviously. You played a ton of this series. You finally got your hands on the sticks for 4. They got a lot of changes going on.
Right.
I caught some flack from a lot of Call of Duty community members on Twitter because I thought before I played it, but after watching the presentation, I thought, oh, there's some kind of Rainbow Six Siege vibes going on here with, basically operators that have different abilities and the way they complement each other. And I didn't mean it as an insult. Boy, some people got salty about that. But then I played it, and it still felt very Call of Duty to me. What'd you think after playing for a while?
So no Battle Royale. We didn't get to play that.
Blackout,
Blackout. We didn't get any zombies, so none of that. But yeah, the multiplayer was there. We got to play TDM, Domination, Hardpoint, and then they didn't even mention the new game mode, but it's Control, which is basically a mosh pit of, I guess you say, search and destroy and Hardpoint at the same time. But going into it, you just like, okay, I just want to play. And you got in, and the first thing you notice is like, okay, it's all these different things on the screen. Now you got health bars, and then it's this thing over here going on, and you just I just want to shoot some people. And yeah, so it's a lot of new changes to the gameplay, and like it still moves like a Call of Duty game. Like it's still fast paced, but now it's just more of this tactical vibe to it, where you're like, okay, now I have to stop and do this. Like especially with the health. Now it's not
Yes.
automatically regenerating. You have to stop and use a stem and poke it in the arm. And at that time, your gun is down. And you're like, okay, do I want to finish this gunfight or do I want to like back around this corner and heal myself? And is some disadvantages because some people have gear where they can use the stem more often than others.
So stims have cooldowns.
Yes.
Is what you're saying. Because that wasn't really conveyed very well in the announcement. Because all we saw was like people running behind, then healing, then running behind, then healing.
Yeah, so if you're running that gear, that stem gear, that cooldown is less than your regular cooldown. So the regular cooldown seemed like it's going to be 20 seconds or so. With the stem gear, I mean that's what it
like
felt
an
like.
eternity in Call
That's
of
what
Duty.
it felt like because I kept looking at the meter as it's trying to do its thing, and then once it finally popped back up, I was like, okay, now I can do it. But with other people who were running that gear, it seemed like they would get in a gunfight, back up, hit it, and then go back into a gunfight, and then if they took some damage, they were doing it again. It's like, man, that's kind of unfair that they continually they're getting it quicker than I would get it if I needed it. So I kept thinking maybe someone to drop like a package or something for me to use, but you see that the time to kill was now set to 150, and man, I was noticing that where I was like, I guess you get used to just shooting at someone, and you see that the points pop up, and you move on. There was times I was shooting at people, and I would be moving on to the next person, and they weren't dead. So it's like, oh my God, I gotta really focus on this person. And like I wanted to like talk to you about that conversation because like we talked about mainly, the operator, the pneumatic crash.
Yeah, so if you guys didn't catch it, we did a conversation about the big health changes specifically.
Right.
And yeah, we obviously had to keep it a little bit shorter. But yeah, so talking about those changes, it just changes obviously. Well, saying changes a bunch because there is so much different about Black Ops 4 and especially the pacing that they're trying to set. Treyarch specifically said that they want to put the pacing in the players' hands.
Right.
And yeah, I don't know. We'll see how that goes. I mean, like just kind of going back to your point about Rainbow Six and saying like, well, it looks like similar having these character classes, and character classes aren't exactly new to Call of Duty. Like there have been these specialist roles before, but the way that they're positioning them is so much different. Because Bobby, you were saying that you can only have one specialist type per team.
Right. So I got stuck one time having to play Crash, which is the medic. It wasn't going to be my first choice, but I
saying get stuck.
Yeah, I got picked. I picked him, and so I'm going, okay. His special ability is that he can boost up to 4 teammates. So whether it's health or some other thing, like it wasn't really like I really didn't understand how it was working because I spent most of my time running around trying to find people because I guess you can say if you're playing domination and Firebreak's using that reactor nuke thing that he does where he's I guess taking down the damage of people trying to capture a space, you can sit behind him and boost him because I guess he starts taking some of the damage as he's doing that.
Yeah.
It's like, well, why don't I just kind of go around and finish off the people? Why would I stop right here to help you? I mean, and again, it's a team game, but I'm thinking in Call of Duty, everything's moving so fast. I don't see myself sitting there boosting him up. I'm trying because you're thinking if other people are coming to capture that point, I should be looking off to the left or looking off to the right or behind us because it's moving fast. So it's like for some of the game modes, I think it'd be okay to do that. But if we're playing TDM, I'm not going to be chasing you around to go, okay, well, let me make sure I boost Ryan and then make sure I boost Jonathan and Miranda. Your gun's down. You're going to take that shot. And what I noticed is that after we did the conversation, I went back to the video, the gameplay. It's some video on IGN. You can watch Domination and Control. But I went back and I saw as I was boosting you guys, I was getting a boost for my health. So I went from 150 to, I think, 225. And I did notice that it made a difference. I was like, man, I'm out here just laying people down, taking a little bit of damage. So it did benefit me to do that. But it's just everything's moving so fast that I'm not thinking to do all of that.
Yeah, so it's definitely been a lot of relearning, right? And I think teams that have a really good medic are going to have a great advantage. I kind of pose a question to the community too, is like, hey, who actually wants to play a medic in Call of Duty? Like posing it with the idea of Call of Duty. Like I like to support and be a healer sometimes in certain games. Like in Dota 2, I really like being a support character. But when it comes to Call of Duty, Bobby, we were talking about how because the time to kill is so high and because there's so much in a way, like Call of Duty is kind of a selfish game.
Right.
Like, yes, it is a team game, but ultimately, like, I don't really want to just focus on my team for every Call of Duty that I play.
It's a competitive skill game.
Yeah, it's like I want to run around and have the best KDR as I can, unless it's like domination or something where we're capturing points, and I'll do my best to help then. But at the same time, I'm looking out for myself. And in this, it's forcing you to work together as a team. And I'm just curious to see how well the community is going to do at utilizing those mechanics.
Yeah, so to piggyback on what she was saying about like you like being a support. A lot of times when I was running with my squad, when we ran like I guess Black Ops 2 and Black Ops 1, or I guess you say go back to COD Ghost, because I think that's when they introduced the support streaks and some of the more support stuff. We kind of looked at the person that was the noob on the team. It's like, well, you run that, but then you can drop down the ballistic vest for us, or hey, you carry the rocket launcher because that's your job to shoot down UAVs and score streaks while we're out, slaying. So it was in Call of Duty. I feel like you say, they had that mind frame of like, yo, how many kills do I have? Even if you lose, you're gonna blame the person. Well, you died 25 times. Like, I went positive. So it's just that mind frame that you have as a Call of Duty player. It's
right. Like Call of Duty taught it such a different way. People are like, well, healing and medic works for Battlefield, but Battlefield is such a different shooter. And like, that's the thing, is like, you guys need to look at the time to kill and like, is it worth playing a medic in this? But at the same time, like, we haven't actually had a lot of hands-on aside from the short demo that you guys had. So it's like one of those only time will tell sort of deals. And I'm not saying like, if you want to play a medic, you're dumb. It's like, no, you are an angel. But
I'll probably be playing medic.
Yeah.
I've skipped the last
Slayers
few Call
will
of Duties
actually appreciate you because
yeah. But
if they're running around and they don't necessarily have to be next to you as you're boosting them. But again, that was the thing. I was like, they're moving and then you're like holding the thing like, okay,
so
now
the cool thing too is that I think you also get your bonus health, but you can heal people through walls.
Right.
So like you can hide and just like camp somewhere if you need to, just to get those heals done.
Speaking my language now.
Yeah. So I mean, like, there's definitely viable strategies with that, and like, of course, like you were saying with the guy who did nice space and takes damage, you can buff that person so that they're getting more kills and they're kind of being more offensive and doing that teamwork thing, and it's going to be really valuable. But it's also going to be like, who really wants to do that job?
Right.
Because like, there's not a lot of glory in being a support, especially on the scoreboard. Like, at the end of the day, you're probably gonna have more deaths than everybody else because you're the fodder. People go after you first because you're the one healing a team. And if you get rid of that person, you can take on the more offensive people. And so it's just like this whole loop of like, how are they going to reward the support characters or the
and
medic character?
If there's a good answer to that question, that's actually music to my ears, because Bobby bore firsthand witness to I got destroyed, like absolutely wrecked at this event. And that's always been, Call of Duty and I have just never quite been on the same wavelength as far as meaning my skill in it. Whereas Halo, that's sort of we just have this wonderful tight-knit relationship. I know how to play Halo. I'm still decent at it, even into my so-called old age gamer years. I guess 25 and under is the prime of your Twitch competitive career, allegedly. But which I'm way past that. But Call of Duty and I have never quite gel. I've just never been good at it. But if I can actually be of use without Twitch skills necessarily, and just being a good healer and finding ways to hide and boost everybody else, then that gives me an incentive to, or at least that gives me a way to have more fun in Call of Duty than I typically do, because I spent the whole time playing, Bobby. I'd watch these kill cams after I got shot again. These guys come around the corner on a fairly small map, sniper rifle in their hands, and it would be,
of course,
up, bang, down. I'm just like, what just happened?
Right. How
is that possible? You didn't even hit me in the head. That was like in my kneecap, but apparently my whole body exploded. So I'm 100% ready for a way to contribute in a way that's not shooting people necessarily.
See, and I think they are moving in that direction, because more of the casual fans who yo, I'm not as good at the game, and it is that for them, because when I was even looking for like my KD, I'm like, what is this damage contributing? What is this? What I contributed to? I want to know how many kills I have. And like when you're looking at like the halftime of like a domination or hard point, you're looking and it's like what damage dealt. So now it's based off how much score you've done rather than just the kill. So I'm like, yo, man, just tell me how many kills and deaths I have right now. So, and at the bottom, it'll say, I guess, ECA, which is enemies killed in action. And it'll tell you however many that is to your death. I'm like, okay, well, I don't care about none of the other stuff. But it's making it, like, say, playing domination or any objective game, it's basically telling you, okay, say if you're capturing the flag, you step off, and you die, you're still gonna get points for helping cap that flag. So it's basically the points are based off what are you contributing to and what damage are you doing. So so if you're saying like you don't have those Twitch skills because they're kind of I'm kind of in my twilight years too. Like I'm losing it too, but you're gonna be rewarded for helping the team.
Yeah, I'm all about that. Now, Bobby, I know you went back. You and I had been talking leading up to this event. You went back to Black Ops 3 and 2 before the event, a little bit after it, to sort of get yourself sort of some context for your experience with Black Ops 4. How are you feeling about it? I know you've only played an hour and a half, 2 hours worth so far.
I'm say 4 hours because I kept going. You know what, guys? I didn't get a chance to play. Can I get in and play some more? I kept going back over and over.
Good. I know you told me. He told me he stayed after. But I didn't know, like, here in 4 hours, that's music to my ear. That's good. I'm glad you got to do that.
Yeah, when I went to track, I didn't get to play. So I was like, oh, man.
Yeah, you got the pre-brief the day before at the studio, but they just tortured you. It was just a tease.
They're like, oh, yeah, and everybody coming back tomorrow. We're going to have the hands-on in the interviews. I was like, I'm not coming back tomorrow. But you did hero's work, sort of getting everything, all sort of the news and stuff ready to go, to tag in Bobby and I to come in. Yeah.
Mainly Bobby, actually.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, like, what were your overall thoughts? Because we've talked a lot about the changes specifically with health, but there's obviously other things there too, because there's the pacing and there's a team composition.
And no more wall running. That was a big thing.
That was
on the ground
that was
stuff.
good because, like you say, I did go back to play some Black Ops 3, and I was having fun playing that. But then I started going, man, this wall running and people jumping. I'm not built for that no more. So now that they've taken that out and all you can basically do is that little slide, that makes it pretty fun. And another big change that I didn't notice right off the bat was now it's 5v5. And I kept going, is that just this custom match that you guys are setting up, or is this actually what it's going to be? Because I guess most of the maps are now medium to small maps. And I guess with its 6v6, it'd probably get a little bit too clustered. So I guess that's maybe the reason why they went back down. And some other games actually do 5v5 too. I guess I don't play enough.
I think Rainbow. I think Rainbow Six is 5-on-5. I don't want to. I'm trying to make an unfair comparison and not trying to like beat this.
I think it's also fair to compare different shooters. I mean, they're all shooters. It's not we're saying that one's better than the other. It's like they have similarities, and that's fine.
I feel Black Ops doesn't really compare well to Kingdom Hearts, but otherwise,
I mean, you may be surprised.
Kingdom Hearts 3 is going in a different direction than we expected.
Well, you were just talking about, Bobby, with feeling like it's scaling to smaller maps than before. I wonder if that's in part because they're going to push the larger scale experience to Blackout, and keep the rest of the game focused on the smaller, more intimate matches.
Yeah, because I mean, when we were there, they were talking about it's going to be this how much more bigger for the Nuketown, and
1,500 times.
Yeah, because I was even getting thrown off. I was like,
sense.
so are we like, because they're using vehicles, and I don't even remember using too many vehicles outside of like World at War.
Yeah,
that's the only time I remember using like an actual vehicle to do something. So I'm going, I know we're going to be able to swim, but I'm like, how are we getting around? And I even asked, like, how are we using?
We're gonna ride the UAV.
Yeah, that and I kept going. Are we going to be using score streaks? Because at that point we were going away from the battle royale. So I'm just really like excited to see where we're going with this, and just like hurry up and give me the information. We need to know how many players. How is this going to go? Like, this is a lot.
Yeah, I like that they're trying to integrate different parts of like famous Black Ops maps or like favorite maps into
and
that
the characters too.
Yeah, so they said they're gonna have characters from all of the Black Ops franchise, including zombies. So they're gonna have just a bunch of things kind of forced into this, and I'm really curious to see how that plays out as far as balance goes and how different it's going to feel from like regular multiplayer.
Now, it's Bobby, you mentioned the player count with Blackout, and it's like, I don't want to make a huge deal out of it, but they didn't give a player count at the thing, so at the event. So you and I had 2 interviews, one-on-one interviews. The first one was with an Activision executive, His name escapes me at the moment. And the second one was with David Vonderhaar. I guess he's the co-studio lead now.
Yeah, I mean, he's always the person when you talk about Treyarch. That's the name that I think of.
Because he was, I think he was the multiplayer lead for a while, but he's now moved his way up. And Mark Lamy is like even higher up the executive food chain. But so we sat with both of those guys, including with David. We brought it up like with the player count. I forget exactly how I phrased the question, but they just weren't touching that question at all.
Did they answer whether or not there would be split screen?
Wouldn't touch that either.
Right.
It was a very frustrating experience. I mean, not to get too in the weeds here for because no one cares. They just want the information. But those things, they have a set. They've all been like pre-trained by their PR people to only say certain things and stay on set. It's like you just save this both a bunch of time if you just handed me a sheet with the approved things you're willing to say. And I know it's like we didn't get anything out of it really, but except you and I were talking after the fact that they just specifically would not touch the blackout player count tells me it's not 100.
Yeah.
There's just no way, because if it was, they would have said so.
That'd have been the first thing to open up the conference. Our battle royale is going to be 100.
Which,
boom, boom, boom.
And I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying 80's bad or 50's bad or whatever it's going to be. I'm not judging it at all. I'm just saying like it's definitely not 100. I don't want to make too big a deal out of it, but yeah, like I think that was the unspoken information I got out of it. Like, all right, this definitely is 100 players, but we'll see what it is and we'll see how it plays and see how it works. And because I know, Bobby, I think you told me you've dabbled a little bit in PUBG. But does the idea of a battle royale in Call of Duty appeal to you?
Yeah, and that's what it was. And I think the thing that they keep harping on is this is Call of Duty's battle royale. So for a person that plays Call of Duty multiplayer, all I know is score streaks, perks, and all other things that come along with it. So it's like, is this going to be a battle royale based off a one-man person using score streaks to get kills? Because if that happens, that's not going to be fun to me or to everyone else playing.
All sorts of vehicles on this too, because they're going to have it. They said for land, sea, and air. And so
exactly.
Can people just like hide? Like, how are you limiting that? And how far can those like water vehicles like actually get into the map, kind of thing? So like, there's a lot of questions.
Yeah, I've actually heard that it's going to be first person too. Like I thought they
I would think so.
I thought they were going to maybe experiment with the third person.
That'd be weird.
But, but
battle royale, yeah,
it's true. I mean, I guess PUBG does have that first person mode. So, but yeah, you're right. It's not the primary way to play the game.
So if we could just finally get to that part where player count and just tell me, are we using perks? Like, are we picking perks up as like part of a load, or is like just those few things? You don't even have to really show me that. Just tell me what I can do, and I'll go, okay. Well, I'll wait to see what happens. Yeah. But just being in the dark like this, you're just like, okay, you got two other games that I know of that are really doing this battle royale part really well. So it's like you're gonna have to come out swinging.
I have a quick question. Did the fog of war on the minimap change your game at all?
I think I used it because I know there's actually
because there's a recon specialist that gives you that vision on your minimap with one of his tools.
See, I don't remember which person that was, but I think there's even a perk.
His name's Recon.
So he is Recon.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think there's a perk that you can attach that's called the Fog of War 2, where I think it expands the minimap. But I don't even remember really it affects, because a lot of times when I was out there running around, I was just trying to get the lay of the land. I was tired of getting killed.
Oh, sure. Like learning the map is like the hardest
So a lot
part.
of that stuff, I've actually just went back and watched the gameplay that I captured, and it was going, oh, that's when I told you. I said, hey, maybe the medic not that bad because he's boosting the health, and that's why I haven't died in a while. So I'm gonna have to go back and look at that, because when they explained that, I was like, okay, that sounds pretty cool. But yeah, for the most part, I like how it was more like in your immediate space where you just seeing what was happening around you. And then once you start getting close to enemy, then it lit up. And I was just like, well, I'm just listening right now to see if someone's coming in my own footsteps. So I kind of just was going off just like the muscle memory of playing.
Okay.
So Bobby, Miranda, two big Call of Duty fans. How are you feeling right now after this reveal? How are you feeling about Black Ops 4?
You go first.
I'm curious. Like, I obviously am questioning a lot of this tactics just because I feel like unless you have a really good group of people to play with, making use of those tactics with a team is going to be really hard. Just because I think the way we're kind of trained to play Call of Duty, it's not super team oriented. It's a lot of like one man army. Like we're working together, but at the same time we're not. I'm not covering you. Like maybe I will, but I'm also just trying to steal your kill. So I think Call of Duty is inherently kind of a selfish game in like how you play. So unless, like I said, you have like a really good group of people, it's going to be harder to make use of that.
Blackout might be the ultimate selfish version of Call of Duty. I want to be the last person standing.
I'm just very curious, and of course I want to get hands on, and I do want to play the medic and see how that goes, and like whether or not it feels really viable for a time to kill. And like I said, I think teams with a really great medic are going to do really well.
Yeah. What do you say, Bobby?
So
After 4 hours of gameplay,
And we're curious about yours.
So here's the thing. So of all of us, I'm the one that played it the most, and I played it on like the system link setup where there's no lag and everything was running well. So I walked out of there going, okay, well, it's Call of Duty next, it's Call of Duty again, and again, I had a lot of questions about just the specialists in multiplayer and how that's going to go, because I'm gonna be mad because Miranda said she's gonna start playing Call of Duty with me, because a lot of my friends don't play anymore. They're moving on to Rainbow Six and everything else. So just seeing how picking a specialist work and utilizing them in the multiplayer. Will I do it, or will the people on my team do it?
Building a loadout for that specialist too,
Right.
and but if that specialist gets picked, do you have backups ready and like that kind of thing?
Exactly. So I enjoyed what I played. I mean, it felt like.
did you come out of the event feeling better, worse, or the same about this game as what you were kind of thinking and expecting coming into that event?
I guess you could say I came out slightly more excited.
Good.
In the beginning. In the beginning, it was kind of just like, yeah, because again, I thought we were gonna get in there. Maybe I was just naive, but I was like, man, we're gonna get to see this battle royale. Maybe not even play it, but just see it. See it in action. And the zombies. I like zombies, but I don't play it that often. And I'm excited for the ones who do play it, because they're gonna release with 3 maps. And they're going to have all these new things you could do where, challenges and weekly challenges and things like that. So I think that'd be cool, because I left out going, okay, I don't play the campaign anyway no more. So there's a lot of content.
A lot of people are
here.
really angry about that.
That's exactly where I wanted to finish this conversation, actually, is, to me, it was clear in that live stream reveal where it was like, we've got a blackout mode, and we've got our usual multiplayer suite, and we've got 3 zombies maps. It was the, hey, look, we still have lots of content, even though we don't have a campaign.
Yeah.
Are either one of you, I know, Bobby, you had said last time you were on, you don't mind that there's no, the $60 is the same to you because you don't play the campaign anyway.
Right.
You still feel that way?
I still feel the same way. I mean, for the most part, the campaign isn't like this 50-hour trek. It's 6 hours at the most.
Right.
I don't see people going back and replaying, because that was another thing they were saying, like the replayability, like you're going to be playing zombies and all in the battle royale and the multiplayer. Like that's where your replayability is at. So for me, I'm looking at it as, I don't mind. I mean, $60, I feel like people are complaining about it, but if they see something as battle royale and the zombies and multiplayer that they like or love, they're going to cash out.
I'm sure they have the data too to show how many people play the single player, and obviously how many people stay.
Finished it too.
Yeah, like I tend to play. So I haven't really played any Call of Duty multiplayer in the last few years, but I always make sure to try to play the single player campaign just because that's more my style. But I totally understand on like a financial and a like player base point of view to not include it, to not use all those resources.
We straight up. We said exactly that to David Vonderhaar. I was like, you guys, I'm sure you guys have the data on who plays it, who finishes it. And he was like, yeah, we absolutely do. We absolutely do. But then he still just wouldn't, I was trying to, that's where I was
Can you
trying
tell
to
us?
that question
What is the data?
about sort of the decision to, double down on multiplayer and bail out on the campaign. But he was just not giving us anything, unfortunately. And then, so Miranda, how about you? How's the value proposition feeling for you after this event now?
So Treyarch is saying that there is still a single player experience in the solo missions that give kind of like background stories to the specialists as characters, which I think is really cool. But to be completely honest, like when I think of Call of Duty, I think of multiplayer. And I rarely ever play the campaigns until I started working here, and they're like, "Oh, you need a review," and like I'll talk about this. I was like, "Okay, I guess I'll play them." So like I'd start them and kind of get a feel for them, but they were never really my focus. But I definitely feel for the people that are disappointed by this change, because I understand like some people don't get a ton of games. Like if this is one of their games and they really do enjoy those campaigns, then yeah, I mean, I can see how that's a letdown for sure. So I hope. I mean, maybe next year they'll put a campaign in the next one, but it's also not Treyarch, so it's like
right. The Infinity Ward's turn next year.
Yeah, so every studio likes to do things differently, and Treyarch really likes to do things different. So as they mentioned.
Same question for you. Do you feel better, the same, or worse about Black Ops 4 coming out of it than you did coming into this
coming
event?
out of this conversation, I feel better knowing that Bobby felt better after playing for 4 hours. Because like ultimately for me, it comes down like reveals and announcements are cool, but it's a lot of like bloated talk from the PR people and from the studio saying, like, look at all these cool things. Yeah. I'm just like, cool, but can I play it? Like, I want to get the feel first before I have really any judgment for it.
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see when they give us a crack at blackout mode. I'm sure that'll come at some point between now and October, no doubt. So next up, I want to get to proper news. We're like neck deep into the show already. We're going to run out of time, but I did want to talk about the new Halo game that got announced.
Finally.
We've all been waiting for.
It's Halo 6. No, it's not Halo 6. This came out of nowhere. This was on the Inside Xbox show last week that Microsoft does every month now. Halo Fireteam Raven. And if you're wondering, okay, well, that sounds like some sort of ODST-like spinoff, you'd be wrong. But that's okay. It is not at all what you would expect.
Almost right.
Yeah, it does. You are playing as ODSTs. I think this is super cool. Let me tell you about it if you haven't heard. It is, again, Halo Fireteam Raven, and it's Microsoft and 343 partnering up with external developers Raw Thrills and Play Mechanics. Now, what's funny about this is I think the day of or maybe the day before, I was walking around downtown Santa Monica, including the Santa Monica Pier, which is where Judges Week basically is anchored around. And there's an arcade. There's still an arcade, one of the few left standing on the Santa Monica Pier. And there was a Terminator Salvation arcade game, which was sort of a similar, like, just a shooter. You have a gun accessory mounted on the cabinet, and you're just shooting your way through the sort of events of Terminator Salvation. And it was just, running. Nobody was playing it, but it came up with it just started playing the credits as arcade cabinets do. And I took notice, it just said Play Mechanics. And then literally the next day, here we go. It's that same, so experienced arcade developer here in Play Mechanics with Raw Thrills. And it drops players in the role of ODST soldiers on the surface of Alpha Halo during the events of Halo 1, fighting alongside Master Chief against both the Covenant and the Flood.
So you get to play all the soldiers that die around you. Combat evolves.
Yeah, exactly. So this is a legit arcade game. This is not something this is not going to translate to the Xbox One. Not happening. The cabinet is a 130-inch 4K display. 4 players. It's the 4 like mounted sort of Warthog type gun turrets. It's a light gun shooter. It's a super fancy high deluxe, high-end light gun shooter. And the cabinet is 11 feet cubed. That's, which I know it's kind of hard to have context for that, but it's big. It's a large cabinet.
I think you have 4 people and 4 mounted gun stations.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty large.
If you were watching on video, you just saw part of the trailer, but and here we go again. But yeah, if you haven't seen it, I thought this looked really cool. It was making a lot of Halo fans mad just because everybody's just pining for 6 right now, and they're like, "What is this?
But this is fun."
Yeah, and here's the thing:
taking away development resources.
Yeah,
that's the key. I think whether 343 didn't make it clear enough, or people just didn't want to hear it. I'm not sure. Maybe a little of both.
Yeah.
This is 343 is not there's like probably one producer that's sort of
Go in,
overseeing
check
this.
in on it, see how the assets are being used.
Exactly. This is not impacting the development of Halo 6 in wherever and whatever shape it's in.
Can you guys imagine someone walking into the 343 office and be like, guys, stop everything. We're making an arcade game.
But we almost have Halo 6 done. No, scrap it. We gotta
Just start over.
No.
Um,
No, I love things like this. Like they're just so
too.
fun. I remember when they did the Mass Effect like ride
at Great America.
Great
down
America.
there?
Yeah, like that's so cool. Like these little fun extra experiences that take you out some theme park or in this case, Dave and Buster's, I believe. I
Yes.
just love those experiences. Have you guys played the Luigi's Mansion?
No, but
It is
I've never
so
even
fun.
seen that.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
they
I've
have
seen
them.
some video of
There's
it.
a lot in Japan, but there's one I think in an arcade in like Concord or something, and so they're around here
Sounds
for sure.
phenomenal.
But yeah, they're really fun, like just extra experiences that you can't get, of course, at home.
The one
So just neat.
I played recently, not to get this too off topic, but I took my nephews to an arcade down in the South Bay and near their house, and there was a Walking Dead, same thing, a light gun shooter. It was great. Like it was really well, like because now I'm coming at it as a jaded, person who does what we do, where I see a million games all the time, and my sort of standard for quality is a little higher, I think. Whereas when I was a kid, it's just like anything in the arcade was like, this is so cool. But this Walking Dead game was really good, and I have no doubt that this Halo Fireteam Raven,
really fun.
it looks fun. The graphics are nice and crisp, and it runs great, and it just looks fun as heck, and I can't wait to try it. And as you noted, Miranda, it is a timed exclusive with Dave & Buster's, which are there any are there any other arcades left outside? I mean, just
It's
you're isolated.
Around 8, 7, some number. There's that arcade chain.
Oh yeah, yeah.
There's some other chains out there, but I don't know. Let's go
'Cause the-
field trip to Dave & Buster's.
I'd be down for that.
GameWorks is gone. Are they out of business? Remember that?
I think I saw one a few years ago. I don't know.
In any case,
Oh, mystery.
there is a Dave & Buster's not far from IGN. So as soon as that location gets this, we will go. We will bring you lots of off-screen gameplay video and impressions.
In arcade
I
review.
mean, we'll review it. Absolutely,
I'll do a
we'll
wiki.
review.
Don't worry about it.
Perfect.
Sleep all night.
Can you do it all from the Dave and Buster's?
I
Yeah,
could
just do a live video review from the Dave and Buster's.
Perfect.
just live stream
Yeah.
from Dave & Buster's. Bobby, have you gotten to take your son over? Have you find yourself in an arcade ever and share that sort of experience from your childhood?
So yeah, have we done Dave & Buster's? I think no, we Chuck E. Cheese. That's
Yeah.
always been. Both of my kids have had birthdays at Chuck E. Cheese, and my son is like I say, he likes those interactive roller coaster type things where you sit in it and a chair moves.
Yeah, I love those
He
too.
likes those things. Like he'll get on the little gun mounted things, but not really care for it. He just wants to get on the interactive roller coasters or play the. We shoot hoops together because that's
Nice.
the thing, basketball. So he just does those.
Yeah, awesome. So keep an eye on this. If you have a Dave & Buster's near you, you can just take a look on their website to see if there's one close by. But it is coming to Dave & Buster's this summer, so we'll see exactly what that means pretty soon. But it did lead me to one other thought, and that is the ongoing mystery that is Halo 6. We haven't seen it. It's acknowledged that it exists by 343, of course.
Yeah, they said they're still working on it.
So here's my question is, let's just take the hype of that. I think we all think it's got to be at E3 this year.
Yeah, some sort of teaser.
But what if it isn't? Just what if there was a world where, like, what if it wasn't? Because we've heard nothing, zero about this. And Halo 5, the reason, just let me build my case here for a second. Not only have we heard nothing about it, but Halo 5 continues to get ongoing support, very strong support from 343. The competitive league is going very strong. There's a real good community. I mean, what if 6 is further out than we think it is?
I think I'd be okay with that as much as I want another Halo. Like I really do. Just looking at Halo 5's campaign in particular, if they need more time to figure it out, please just figure it out. Like I believe. I want a better campaign experience. Like I said, I love Halo's story and I loved Halo 5 and I love how it played, but the campaign definitely saw some sort of massive change somewhere in development. You can just feel it as you're playing the game. Like there's an obvious shift there. And so I want them to get it right. So if that means they need more time, then okay.
Oh yeah, I would much rather they take the time they need for that, because as someone who grew up with those campaigns meaning so much to me, and with the multiplayer meaning so much, the multiplayer, as you were saying, is still going very strong, and I haven't really dipped into it since the game launched, but it's still there and still.
Excellent.
I really have had sort of an itch to go back to it, seeing people playing recently, but knowing that obviously the 5 campaign for me wasn't as strong as past ones, I would be more than happy if they waited another year or two and refined what they need to refine and really amped it up and really figure out what the next step in multiplayer is, because obviously people love the multiplayer as it is, so why break that if it's still working?
You guys are being real generous to that campaign.
I still had fun with it. I mean, I did the guide, and I liked it. I think I was let down because we didn't get to know Blue Team very well. I was like, you guys brought them back and then ignored them? How dare you?
Yeah. Oh, it's nowhere near my favorite of the series. Yeah. It's down there for me, absolutely. But it's something where the older campaigns are such a fondly looked at thing for me, as they are for so many players, that I would want the next campaign to really get the time it deserves.
Yeah. So see, here's if I go down the rabbit hole with this in my own mind, because again, like Halo, I've loved Halo since the beginning, like a lot of people, and it means a lot to me. And 5 burned me very badly, in the campaign department. I mean, I did a whole podcast about it. What if it's further out? Because I kind of feel like 6 is like a last chance before they would risk permanent damage to the brand. If the 6 campaign is poorly received, let's put it that way, as 5's was, I think Microsoft and 343 risk some level of permanent damage to the Halo brand. Maybe that's total hyperbole. Maybe maybe that's a real dumb hot take. People will no doubt let me know in the comments. But thinking about that and thinking about how successful and supported the multiplayer continues to be, if it is taking longer and suddenly we're looking at 2019, the thought occurs to me, and I just want to get your guys' take before we move on because we're nearly out of time already. What if, combined with the first-party situation on Xbox, what if 343 and Microsoft what if we don't see Halo 6 until it's a launch title on the next Xbox? I'm just going to throw it out there. Is that ridiculous?
I feel like that'd be really far.
What if it's
so far?
Could be 2020. Well, nobody knows, but what if it's we're hearing Sony talk about sort of 2020, March 2021 for sort of the sunset of the PS4. What if the Xbox? We don't know if it's going to be 20 or 21. I'm not going to say the whole thing. It's confusing. I mean, odds are it's going to be somewhere in that 2-year window.
Sure.
Do you just pull Halo 6 back, get it firing on all cylinders, take it to the next level from a technological perspective, and come out swinging on the next Xbox with Halo as a launch
I think
title?
if they were doing that, they need to do like the Breath of the Wild stance with that. Nintendo did put it on both consoles. So like the Wii U and that.
Yeah, I don't doubt that would happen at all because of Microsoft's commitment to, the family of consoles.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I could see them doing that. I think that'd be too long. I mean, I just said, take all the time you need, but I'm just like, whoa, next console. I don't know about that.
It would be that would be 5 years between Halo 5 and Halo 6 if that.
That would need to be like, I don't know. I'd have such high expectations for it.
Yeah.
Multiplayer's going strong.
Yeah.
GTA does 5 years every time now.
That's GTA.
But Halo's a big deal too.
It is, but like, what has been the longest development cycle between each game?
3 years.
3 years.
It's always been 3 years.
It's like 5 is just that's a lot.
But I mean, you can't let past history necessarily dictate what you're going to do.
Yeah, I don't know.
I may be just talking crazy here.
I think it would also depend very much.
Bobby's over there nodding. Yeah, you're insane.
You draw the line in the sand. When I was younger, I was always a Call of Duty person. So I'm listening to you guys.
I see.
So I'm listening to you guys talk about it. And I'm just like, well, I'm not gonna play it anyway. So it don't matter to me.
So I was
take all the time they want.
Halo first, then moved to Call of Duty.
You say that though, your boy might want to play co-op with you in the next Halo role because Halo is such a great co-op game.
If it has it.
Well.
It better.
I think they learned the split screen lesson.
Yeah,
after
split
Halo
screen's
5.
kind of
In fact,
important.
they've publicly acknowledged that they've learned that lesson.
good.
But I don't know. Maybe I'm nuts, but I'm just saying, if we don't see Halo 6 at E3 this year, which I hope we do, but if for some reason it's MIA, then I gotta wonder if maybe they might be better off just holding back and launching it with the next hardware.
I mean, it would make a amazing launch title. Just a press release to say, here's Halo 6, the end of this second trilogy. Like, here's the thing you've been waiting for so long, launching alongside the console. I can see that amazingly. Another factor which we just obviously can't have insight into is what else they have in the next few years.
Right. I think that's kind of part of my apprehension. It's like, what else do they push besides Gears? And like, obviously they have Forza, but what else are you going with? Also, because the next console just seems so far away. I don't know why. It just feels like
it'll be here before you know it, though,
yeah,
Miranda.
Sure, it will be.
It'll be here before we know it. These machines. This is year 5. They're going to be turning 5 this year.
No,
It feels so young in this.
I just bought my Xbox. I just would have launched it.
It's because of the Xbox One S and the X that it doesn't feel like it.
Yeah.
But this is a 5-year.
I'm
we're
still
going on 5 years here.
Playing with my day one Xbox though.
Me too.
Gotta upgrade some.
right.
Maybe not then. Maybe I'll wait.
We'll see. I can see all the old man Ryan is senile comments popping up right now. But all right, we are out of time. We'll maybe get to a couple of these other topics next week. But for now, we'll just. I mean, really the only notable game release this week on the Xbox side. There's the usual sort of assortment of ID titles, but State of Decay 2.
State of Decay 2. It's out for everyone.
Yeah, that's right. Game Pass, big way to check that game out. Of course, also it's $30 if you're just buying retail. So there is that Ultimate Edition, but which gets you the DLCs. 7.5 says IGN's Dan Stapleton. I don't necessarily disagree with him based on what I've played. The 7.5 is good. It's a good game. It's got all the same technical problems as the original.
You'd expect.
Despite being on a new console and running on a new game engine, it unfortunately still has.
It definitely looks nicer, has nicer colors, but then still has those issues. Look, there's a zombie dropping out of the sky. How wonderful.
But it is still such a fun game with fun systems to interact with. So, yeah, I do recommend people give it a try at the very least.
And also check out our wiki. And if you have any questions about State of Decay 2 or are having trouble with something, please let me know. You can tweet at me at HavocGrows. I'm running our guide and working with a freelancer on that. And we want to make sure we're covering all the things that people actually have questions with because, of course, it's procedurally generated. So it's really hard to write a guide that fits to everybody's needs. We want to know what people need help with.
Right. All right. Real quick, we'll do the Unlock Block trivia, test your guys' Xbox knowledge here. This is a good one. So this month's IGN Unfiltered guest is none other than the creator of the Xbox himself, Seamus Blackley. We had an awesome hour-and-a-half conversation. So real quick, you know what? We'll just save it for next week. We'll do that. I'm getting the go sign.
Yeah, we actually
had
we're
way
countdown
over.
that just ended.
Turns out Kingdom Hearts 3 and Call of Duty took up the entire show. And the Halo thing. But that's okay. Those were good chats. Those were good conversations about those games. I'm glad we did them. So instead, God, has it really been like an hour already? I could.
Can you just give me a point?
Do you want me to?
Yes.
Well,
I've been gone so much. I've been gone like 4 weeks total.
Participation
we'll talk
points.
Okay.
All right. I'm Ryan McCaffrey. You can find me on Twitter at DMC_Ryan. I do implore you to check out IGN Unfiltered. Check out that interview with Seamus Blackley. He really is is just an awesome person to talk to. Brilliant guy. Very much a Renaissance man. He's brilliant in a number of ways, not just making video game consoles. So please check that out on IGN or YouTube or even iTunes as well. Bobby, where can we follow your exploits?
At Bobbia1984 on Twitter.
Excellent. Jonathan?
I am at JM Dornbush on Twitter.
Excellent. You guys are keeping it short and sweet. I like that. Miranda?
I'm at HavocGrows, and it's Havoc with a K, as I said earlier.
Fantastic.
Use our guides.
All right. It was an action-packed episode 347. I didn't even get to half the things I said in the opening, which is going to make this show real weird for people that get to the end and go, wait, what about this, this, and this?
Sorry.
Yeah. That's how these things go sometimes. All right. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you next week. E3's getting close.